Hey guys, sup?
I'm Tara.
And I'm Raven, your acid bath princess of the darkness. And we're here today in Tara's room. We're gonna pour out our souls in a little bit.
A few moments later.
When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see our marching band.
Yep, that just about did it. I think it's just about time for Dylan the Night Owl to go the fuck to sleep. If you've been on the internet for any decent stretch of time, you're most likely familiar with the term fanfiction. Fanfiction, its origins and impact on internet culture, and even literature as a whole, is something I'd like to cover in a future video. But today, I want to focus on, by far, the most infamous fanfiction of all time. The Harry Potter fanfiction known only as My Immortal. However, we're not going to be analyzing the story itself, and nor are we going to be reading through it. No, there are plenty of other great dramatic readings out there on YouTube already. Instead, we'll be diving into one of the greatest internet mysteries of all time. Who the hell wrote the worst fanfiction of all time? And how this random Harry Potter fanfiction just might be one of the most genius pieces of literature of our time. I should say up front that if you have somehow never read the story yourself, please do yourself a favor and watch one of the popular readings of it here on YouTube. It's an experience to say the least, and while not required to enjoy this video, it is still nonetheless very much recommended. And with that said, let's dive into this internet fable. My Immortal is a Harry Potter fanfiction serially published onto the website FanfictionNet in 2006 into 2007. The fanfiction itself follows protagonist Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway, a 17-year-old vampire and self-proclaimed goth girl who attends Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Ebony, often erroneously spelled as Enoby, goes on about her daily life at Hogwarts, eventually falling into a love triangle between Draco Malfoy and Harry Vampire Potter, who are both apparently super fucking gothic too. Besides that, various other trials and tribulations ensue, like Voldemort showing up. Snape and Lupin are like gay perverts now, I guess, and I think, now don't quote me on this, but I think they attend a My Chemical Romance concert at some fucking point. Maybe that was just a fever dream though. Upon its publication in 2006, My Immortal has become notorious for its immense number of misspellings, grammatical issues, nonsensical English, Mary Sue protagonist, annoying long and over-descripted depictions of gothic outfits, weird sexual shit, plot holes in an already meandering plot that no shit actually makes me feel like I'm going crazy reading through it all, and the list just keeps going on and on and on. Obviously, in the wake of such a perfectly beautiful disaster such as this, people started rubbernecking the ongoing fire, and word of mouth spread fast about the fanfiction that would soon come to be known as the worst fanfiction ever written. As flocks of people came to witness the dark power of My Immortal, it became something of a lolcow in written form, with thousands of readers and trolls starting to leave negative reviews on the piece, which its author didn't take too kindly to. The fanfiction user and author of My Immortal went by Tara Jezebel, which has never been spelt the same on a consistent basis. As Tara continued to release new chapters in her gothic Harry Potter epic, she started to make author's notes at the start of many of her chapters, addressing the trolls, or as she put it, preps and posers, telling them to stop flaming her work, which was usually followed up with a threat that she would refuse to post the next part until she received more positive reviews, saying, quote, "Fuck off, preps, okay? Raven thanks for helping me again. I'm sorry, I couldn't update, but I was depressed and I had to go to the hospital cause I slit my wrists. Please, I'm not updating till you give me 10 God revos. Warning, some of this chapter is extremely scary. Voa excretion advised," unquote. To really understand the kind of spectacle this fanfiction had become over the course of its run, it's important to know the cold hard numbers. Just before the fanfiction had been taken down by the site staff, it had managed to get over 10,000 reviews, most of which were just trolls flaming, but these were unprecedented numbers for some random fanfic at the time. According to some dedicated lads over at Encyclopedia Dramatica, My Immortal is about 20,000 words long, not counting the author's notes, and those 20,000 words can be broken down as such. Descriptions of characters' hair and or what they are wearing, 13.7%. Sentences with terrible adverbs or suddenly X came into their room, 17.5%. Chapters involving a fucking rock concert at Hogsmeade and the necessary planning/clothing shopping, 27.2%. Comparing a character to a rock star, 3.4%. Sex, voyeurism, bondage, attempted rape, 5.2%. Incredibly long ellipses, 3.9%. Number of times a character gasps, 25 times. Number of times a character cuts their wrists, 15 times. Number of times a character is compared to Jared Way, 13 times. With all this in mind, a few key questions began to rise up. Who the hell actually is the author? Is there really someone out there that can write something so awe-inspiringly awful? Or was this all just the work of one of the world's greatest and most dedicated trolls? Tara Jezebel, aka XXX Bloody Wrist 666XXX, aka Gothic Girl 666, is truly an internet enigma. The girl responsible for one of the cornerstones of internet legend has and maybe always will be a mystery, although not for a lack of there being no leads, but rather it's really the opposite problem. Since the publication of the final chapter, various individuals have come forward and claimed to have written the trash fire, although most of these cases are obvious hoaxes and further trolling. What makes these things even more interesting is, according to Tara, she didn't write this masterpiece alone. Oh no boys. She had an editor/beta reader by the name of Raven, or as her username went by, Bloody Tears 666. I don't really know what's more funny, the idea of My Immortal actually having an editor, or the genius of coming up with such a lie with there being an editor for this f***ing thing by a troll. But with that in mind, who are some of the serious contenders for people who might have written the Fables fanfic? There have been tons and tons of people who have come forward to claim they are the fabled author of My Immortal, and that it was all just a prank over the many years, with one of the most infamous being a 988-word confession by user The Batman. Quote, "After some considerations, I decided to confess something that I've kept pretty well secret. Here goes nothing. I helped co-write My Immortal," unquote. The confession goes on about how he came about the website fanfiction.net and where he's coming from personally, until we get on to the details of My Immortal itself. He describes meeting a user on the website through one of his own bad fanfictions entitled A Day in the Life. The two devise a plot to create one of the worst fanfictions of all time, and through collaboration, on his part, he came up with some of the pop culture references, and then on the other fellow's part, coming up with the fashion bits of the plot, and then collaborating together of what they're going to do with the Harry Potter theme and vampires and various other things. They came together to create My Immortal. The Batman goes on to say, quote, "To be honest, I didn't expect My Immortal to be so successful. At no point in writing it did I realize it would get this many reviews. God, I didn't think it was possible, nor do I think it could ever happen again. There could only be one My Immortal, but somehow it became a thing of legend. I don't think any other fanfics have been translated into a dozen languages, but not English, of course, and be read by over 1 million readers worldwide. It's just unthinkable." However, a thing wasn't going well in the Goffik cave, and as the debates turned into arguments, things had boiled over. I was locked out of the account after Chapter 15 was uploaded. Whatever happened Chapter 16 onwards, I couldn't care less. I didn't have a single part in creating it. I tried to create another troll account since then, but none of them has been as great as Terra Jezebel. I am now officially retired from trolling. You can flame as much as you'd like, I don't really care. You might not believe me, I still don't care. All I wanted to do is get this out of my system. At least I can proudly say that I made 1 million people laugh, or smile, or say, God, I hope that author dies. How can this world keep going with people like that? Well, here's your answer. I actually do have dyslexia. Unquote. This confession was later taken down for unknown reasons, and while it does provide some interesting insight, if it were proven true, it is all ultimately just his word that we have to go by, words that he himself took down. So, while still a possibility, it is very much unlikely. We could be here all day if I were to go over the hundreds of people who have claimed to be the author, so let's get into some of the most likely contenders. Our next contenders are one of the longest running of them all, and what Encyclopedia Dramatica considers to be the most likely of all suspects, that being these two. Basically, this runs along the theory that My Immortal is completely real, and that the evidence of this is all the corresponding accounts that link the two to the tale. The two are connected to a YouTube account by the name of XXBloodyXKissXX, and uploaded their first video on July 8th of 2008, entitled The Black Parade Fan Video by Tara and Raven. Watching all the videos on the channel, and yes, I did do that for your viewing pleasure, I can say that these two are both very proud of being Gothic. They hate preps, they love MCR in Gerald Way, and they have that typical edgy snark. You know, the kind that thinks that they're smarter than everyone else in the room because they're wearing black. And they also happen to like Evanescence as well. And looking at the descriptions of most of their videos, why not nearly as egregious as the fanfiction? There are several grammar and spelling mistakes within them, along with that weird thing where certain letters are capitalized for no apparent reason. You're probably thinking, wow, this sounds pretty legit. I mean, it all fits. So where's the mystery, huh, Dylan the Night Owl? Did you just clickbait us, you fucking feathered fiend? Well, see, this is where this lead gets pretty interesting. But because before I would have said that they seemed like the most likely contenders, but then they could just be trolls in of themselves, either just trolls pretending to be the authors of My Immortal, or uber trolls who are the authors and run this YouTube channel. However, this is where we hit a snag. On September 24th of 2014, Ethan Scheel of New York Public Radio decided to track down these two Gothic girls to find out the truth. He found out that Tara was actually Rachel and that Raven was actually Sarah. The two are sisters who were in their mid to late teens when they made all the videos on the channel, and they insist that they are not the actual authors of My Immortal. Fair enough. Although I did find something rather interesting about their part of the interview. According to Ethan, they claim that they didn't even know about My Immortal at the time until after they made the videos, and that they weren't actually goth, but they used to be before they made fun of themselves through video form. Now, call me a skeptic, but something about this just doesn't quite add up to me. If they had said they were inspired by My Immortal and were just trolling and messing about, I'd be fine to just sort of close this case entirely. But the fact that they deny knowing about My Immortal, it raises some red flags. Like, you both just by coincidence picked the names Raven and Tara. You both just so happen to be making fun of Gothic kids and talk about the exact same bands that Tara and Raven from My Immortal go on about. And your descriptions and general attitude on video reflect the same sort of grammar and personality as those two. Again, if that was the intention, fine. But come on, that's too many coincidences. And if they are lying about that, what other parts of the story aren't we getting? Who's to say that they didn't also write My Immortal, making fun of goths in a similar way to their YouTube channel? Or, you know, they could have just been angsty teens who are too embarrassed to own up to it all. Either way, it's still all hearsay and speculation, so make of that what you will. If you thought the last contender was crazy, you haven't seen nothing yet, as on September 7th, 2017, BuzzFeed allegedly confirmed the identity of My Immortal's true author, by the name of Rose Christo. It should be noted that before this article, Rose Christo had quietly stated on her own personal Tumblr account that has since been taken down by her, that she had in fact co-wrote My Immortal. However, the post gained very little notice. Christo kept this up, even discrediting another author by the name of Lani Sarum, who a few people considered possibly being the author. By September 5th, Christo would state on her Tumblr that she had provided proof to her publisher, Macmillan Publishers, that would later be reported by BuzzFeed. For a bit of context, Christo is a young adult fiction writer with a series of published novels under the title Gives Light series. She said her decision to publicly identify herself as the co-author was, quote, "I would never have come forward about My Immortal if not for the fact that it coincided with the things that happened to me as a teen," unquote. So, what exactly were those things, according to Christo? According to the aforementioned BuzzFeed article by Alana Bennett, quote, "In the early 2000s, Rose Christo was separated from her 5-year-old brother and shuttled between foster homes in Brooklyn to the Bronx and back again. Desperate to be reunited with her sibling, she traveled the 5 boroughs, unable to find any trace of him, as New York State's child care agencies failed to help her time and time again. Then, with the help of one beloved foster sister, Rose created an infamous piece of Harry Potter fanfiction titled My Immortal, posting it online under the pseudonym XXX Bloody Wrists 666 XXX, unquote. The article goes on to tell the tale in detail, of note being that Rose Christo was writing the memoir titled Under the Same Stars that would detail her whole story, the article being a sort of advertisement for the memoir itself, along with some random other details about her personal life. The memoir was going to account her writing of the infamous fanfiction, and her motives for writing it. The description for the memoir on Goodreads is as follows. It starts off with that aforementioned little piece of info in the BuzzFeed article about her foster sister helping her write the infamous piece of Harry Potter fanfiction and her trying to find her lost sibling. And it then goes on to say, quote, "The truth is a gripping, compelling, and surprisingly funny story of how a young girl infiltrated and used the fanfiction community to search for her brother by baiting their attention with a deliberately badly written tale, creating a 10-year mystery that garnered pop culture media attention and remained unsolved until now," unquote. So if Christo is to be believed, then she and her foster sister wrote the fanfic badly on purpose in order to garner the attention to help her find her brother. And if you can smell bullshit already, then congrats, boys. You're not alone. Just from a purely cynical point of view, this whole thing seems extremely far-fetched, and a really genius way to garner attention herself, ironically. I mean, sure, the truth is often crazier than fiction, but Christo's story is just a bit too perfect now, isn't it? Like, she gets to come out looking great. She wrote the fanfic as a troll, and it was all for a greater purpose too? A greater purpose that she would be detailing in her brand new memoir that you'll be able to buy soon? Yeah, that's pretty fucking fishy. Many questioned her validity, as after all, many have come forward with claims of writing this thing over the years, and these suspicions would later be doubled when later in the same month of Christo's reveal, a Kiwi Farms forum post by Christo's brother, verified as such by the forum operators, refuted several of Christo's claims in the upcoming memoir, including those of their ancestry and shared history. He said he was happy to dispel her legitimacy considering all the lies about him that build her memoir. One such example of one of these posts is when her brother reveals that his sister's claims of Native American heritage is false, which is important since it was one of the core foundations of her memoir and also most likely what attracted the attention of BuzzFeed, along with her being queer and proud, of course. The post reads as follows, quote, "I can answer the origin of the native thing even while phone posting. She's basically spent her entire life with her grandmother as her guardian, still lives with her at 27. Our grandmother always claimed that she was Native American because she was born in America, and she's completely white. Looks like my sister's story has evolved, though, to have a tale of some Cree Indian as her father. You can see that on her Tumblr, might be in the screenshots above. But it just isn't true. Our biological father is Greek. Her last name is actually Christolopoulos. Mine was shortened to Christo at birth, which she seems to have adopted since our separation," unquote. Christo's brother would go on about their family history and continue to dispel the lies his sister had been telling, and that he himself was very distant with that side of his family. Christo's brother did admit that he doesn't actually know if his sister ever actually wrote My Immortal, as he would have been nowhere near around her in the time frame where it could have been written, but he does know that the memoir is full of nothing but blatant and pure lies, so you can kind of lead to conclusions from there. In the end, the memoir was subsequently cancelled by Christo's publisher after an investigation found factual errors in her narrative. Christo stated that these errors had been purposely made by herself in an attempt to protect her family's identity. All the same, she never ended up publishing that memoir, and she was quickly labeled a liar, trying to cash in on top of all this crap. I suppose being exposed on Kiwi Farms by her own brother along with the book deal going through must have finally made her snap out of her bullshit, and the following is from an archived snapshot before she ghosted the internet. Quote, "Hey, Rose here. Remember when I came forward a few months earlier? I have something important to address and an apology to deliver, so please hear me out. First things first, my sincerest apologies. I'm sorry for what I've done, for what I've led others to believe, for what I've been made responsible for over the past few months. I'm sorry for the drama that my presence has caused. If I could apologize 1,000 times to each and every one of you who had believed what I said, that still wouldn't be enough. I don't know what else I can do or say to earn back all of your approval. Or rather, am I truly worthy of it? All that I have left to do now is upload this and hope that it reaches any of you with all my heart. I won't be posting under this account anymore after this. My deleting of my last one should have been enough, but hell, this has been keeping me awake at night. I'm really, truly sorry for all that I've caused. So after this, I won't be back. I can give you all my new info on my other websites if you so wish, but even then, I won't be very active. Unquote. Rose Christo would later shut down her Tumblr page and go pretty much completely quiet. And so ends the Rose Christo saga. In the end, we still don't know for certain who the author of My Immortal is, and we most likely will never actually know. But even so, maybe that's just all for the better. Maybe My Immortal just works better if we never truly know who wrote it, and we just let our imaginations fill in the gaps. All the same, My Immortal will forever be known as one of the worst and best fanfictions ever written. The room of fanfiction, if you will. And from it, I think an important lesson can be learned, that even the worst shit imaginable can give people genuine enjoyment, and something to talk about for years and years to come. So never be afraid to share your junk on the internet, because maybe it'll be just bad enough to be beloved by thousands too. Or, you know, you'll be a laughingstock. Like when Pro Jared shared his junk. Hey, I don't normally do these outro voice bits, but I figured I would this time because I just want to say thank you to, number one, anyone who has watched all the way through this extremely long video, all the way to the end, but also number two, to all the subscribers, both old and new. I can't thank you enough. We just reached 500 subscribers just real recently. And I do plan on making a celebration video of sorts, and FAQ is what I'm thinking about doing. So yeah, I want to do that, and I also want to apologize because I know I'm not the most consistent person when it comes to uploads, but it has been almost 3 months since the last video I made, and I felt really bad because my channel has just been growing and growing and growing over the last month or so. And here I am, just like caught, basically stuck in college work has been my excuse. But there's also been a little bit of, I guess you could say, lack of motivation here and there to really tackle some of this stuff. But I'm fully motivated now, and I'm going to try my best to have more consistent uploads in the near future. And again, I want to thank anyone who has been supporting me just by watching my videos, liking them, and hell, if you share them, that's like the biggest thing too. And of course, and if you're new to this channel, then welcome. I hope that you like and subscribe the video, and I look forward to answering all of you guys' questions in the future FAQ and sharing all the great video ideas I have planned. And there's also some collabs that I want to start getting more serious with, so look forward to that. But until next time, because I didn't say in the video, this has been Dylan the Night Owl, flying off.